Master your emotions, cultivating self-respect and inner control. Your feelings, they're the chains that keep you down, the loads that drag you down. However, imagine a scenario in which you could break free. Consider the possibility that you could dominate those feelings, control them, and use them as weapons rather than shackles. Today we're jumping profound into the craft of becoming deadpan. Rule number 1, don't adore anybody to an extreme. Love is a delightful inclination. It ties us, associates us, and frequently gives our lives meaning. Nonetheless, unreasonable love or connection can turn into a two-sided deal. It can cloud our judgment, make us defenseless and feeble, that lead us down ways of sadness when that adoration isn't responded or is lost. The Stoic savants who supported profound versatility frequently talked about the risks of connection. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman head and unemotional logician, once commented, "You have control over your brain, not external occasions. Understand this, and you will track down strength." This strength he talks about is the capacity to cherish without turning out to be excessively appended. It's the solidarity to see the value in the excellence of a relationship, without allowing it to characterize your whole presence. In our own lives, this illustration turns out to be significantly more clear. Recall when you could have cherished somebody to an extreme, to the place where their activities or choices control your satisfaction. The aggravation of selling out, the misery of tragedy, or even the basic dissatisfaction of neglected assumptions can overpower. In any case, imagine a scenario where you could cherish with a similar power, without the weakness. The critical lies in understanding that affection is temporary. Like all feelings, it goes back and forth, and keeping in mind that it's present, it ought to be valued. Notwithstanding, it shouldn't turn into the anchor that holds you down. All things considered, let it be the breeze that pushes your sails, directing you, however, not characterizing your course. Your course ought to be constrained by just you. By excelling at confined love, you safeguard your heart, yet additionally engage your spirit. You become equipped for shaping profound associations without the anxiety toward losing yourself in them. This is the most important move towards turning out to be genuinely deadpan, where you control your feelings and they don't control you. Rule number 2, could do without everybody and become less compassionate. Sympathy, the capacity to comprehend and talk about the thoughts of one more, is much of the time called as perhaps of the most upright human ethicalness it permits. U.S. to interface, to comfort, and to fabricate bonds. Be that as it may, extreme sympathy can be depleting both intellectually and inwardly. It can toss us to the issues and feelings of others, frequently at the expense of our own. Prosperity, Epictetus, another prestigious unemotional thinker, once said, "It's not what befalls you, yet the way in which you respond to it that is important." This astuteness holds particularly obvious with regards to sympathy. While it's normal to feel for other people, it's pivotal to decide when to connect with and when to separate oneself. Envision being a wipe that ingests each drop of water it comes into contact with. After some time, without wringing out the overabundance, the wipe becomes oversaturated and loses its adequacy. Additionally, when we care too profoundly for everybody and everything, we risk turning out to be sincerely immersed. Our judgment becomes obfuscated, our energy gets exhausted, and we lose center around our own necessities and goals. Presently, this doesn't mean choosing not to see the affliction or delights of others. All things being equal, it's about specific compassion. It's tied in with picking when to contribute sincerely and when to keep a degree of separation. Thusly, you safeguard yourself from superfluous personal strife and guarantee that when you truly do decide to mind, it's real, engaged, and significant. In the excursion to become deadpan, this specific sympathy turns into an integral asset. It permits you to explore the world with lucidity, guaranteeing that your profound energy is spent astutely and not wasted on each passing feeling or circumstance. Rule number 3, cut off harmful individuals from your life. Individuals we encircle ourselves with assume a critical part in forming our feelings, considerations, and by and large prosperity. Similarly, as a solitary, spoiled, organic product can ruin the whole container, a poisonous individual can create a shaded area over our lives, depleting our energy and obfuscating our judgment. The Stoics had confidence in the force of self-conservation and self-confidence. They comprehended that while we have zero control over the activities of others, we can pick our affiliations. Diogenes, a logician known for his unemotional and parsimonious perspectives, once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 tongue with the goal that we would listen more and talk less." This is an update that we ought to be perceptive of the organization we keep profound and pay attention to our instinct. Think about your own life. Are there people who continually bring antagonism, so questions or subvert your aspirations? These are the poisonous impacts that one should figure out how to remove from. There's no need to focus on holding on to enmity, however perceiving that for one's own close-to-home prosperity. Certain binds should be cut off or removed. Removing poisonous individuals isn't a demonstration of mercilessness. It's a demonstration of confidence. It's a statement that you esteem your inner harmony and close-to-home well-being regardless of anything else. Thusly, you make a defensive hindrance, guaranteeing that cynicism, uncertainty, and negativity track down no spot in your life. Chasing becoming aloof, this step is pivotal. It's tied in with purging your profound climate, guaranteeing that you're encircled by energy, support, and authentic consideration. Keep in mind, the excursion to dominating one's feelings begins by guaranteeing that outside impacts line up with your inward objectives. Rule number 4, don't communicate your sentiments and perspectives towards anybody any longer. In a world that continually urges us to express our genuine thoughts and wear our hearts on our sleeves, there's an unreasonable power peacefully in restriction. While open correspondence is fundamental in numerous parts of life, there's a significant strength in picking when and where to communicate our deepest sentiments and perspectives. The Stoics frequently underline the significance of inward peacefulness and the risks of outer approval. Marcus Aurelius once noticed, "The joy of your life relies on the nature of your viewpoints." By continually looking for approval or responses from others, we place our close-to-home prosperity in their grasp. Ponder the times you've shared an individual accomplishment or a profoundly held conviction to get outside just approval to hear others' thoughts. Yet what do? You get analysis or joke, even joke. Such encounters can be demoralizing and can shake our certainty. However, imagine a scenario in which you held that power inside, not allowing outer responses to control your close-to-home state. Deciding not to communicate each inclination or view isn't about concealment. It's about strengthening. It's tied in with figuring out that few out of every odd idea needs a group of people, and that our inward world doesn't necessarily need outer approval. By rehearsing this restriction, you develop an identity assuredness. Your feelings, convictions, and perspectives become enduring. It's since they're no longer helpless before others' conclusions and the mission to turn into aloof. This standard fills in as a defensive safeguard. It guarantees that your close-to-home center remaining areas of strength for parts by the transient suppositions and responses of your general surroundings. Rule number 5, put down stopping points and quit being consistently accessible limits. Both physical and close-to-home are fundamental for keeping an identity and guaranteeing our prosperity. During a time of consistent network where we're supposed to be accessible consistently, defining limits can appear to be a hard undertaking. In any case, this vital demonstration can lead us to close-to-home opportunity and strength. The Stoics put stock in the worth of time and the significance of thoughtfulness. As Seneca once said, "Constantly you have just has a place with you." However, how frequently do we squander it? By being ceaselessly accessible to everybody, answering each message in a split second, or taking care of each and every interest right away. By not defining limits, we make an impression on the world that our time, energy, and profound prosperity are available to all and has no worth. This consistent accessibility can prompt burnout, disdain, trouble, melancholy, and a sensation of being overpowered. It resembles leaving the entryways and windows of your home completely open, permitting anybody and anything to come in and disturb your tranquility. Defining limits is a demonstration of self-confidence. It's a statement that you esteem your time, your close-to-home energy, and your genuine serenity. It implies figuring out how to express no without culpability, setting aside margin for yourself without legitimization, and understanding that being less accessible doesn't mean you care any less. It essentially implies you care about yourself as well. In the excursion towards becoming deadpan, defining limits is a fundamental stage. It guarantees that your close-to-home supply isn't continually being depleted. It permits you to keep a feeling of harmony and strength, paying little mind to outside requests. Rule number 6, put yourself first and become direct as we close to the finish of our excursion towards profound strength. Rule 6 accentuates the significance of putting yourself first and embracing straightforwardness. To genuinely become aloof in the feeling of being unshaken and propelled, you should focus on your own prosperity. It's not necessary to focus on dismissing others, however, about perceiving that you can't be of help to anybody. Assuming you disregard yourself, think about the carrier security directions that tell to put on your own breathing device prior to helping others. Also, throughout everyday life, you should guarantee your profound dependability and accomplishment prior to stretching out that help to other people. Being direct is one more critical part of profound strength. It implies offering your viewpoints, requirements, and limits plainly and without a second thought. This doesn't mean being inconsiderate, however, it implies being emphatic and fair. Keeping away from circuitous correspondence and individual satisfying is essential. At the point when you're direct, you forestall a sense of understanding. You're now armed with the warrior's mindset. Embrace the fire within you and let nothing stand in your way. Life is a battlefield and you're the conqueror. Before you go, remember to subscribe for a regular dose of UN-filtered motivation. Conquer the day. While exploring the scene of human connections, trust stands apart as one of the most fundamental parts for laying out profound and significant associations. Be it companionships, close connections, proficient organizations, or familial bonds, trust goes about as the spine that keeps connections intact. However, there are sure qualities and ways of behaving that can subvert doubt. Combined with experiences from indifferent way of thinking, we can all the more likely comprehend the starting points of these trust-breaking attributes and how to address them. This guide will dig into these qualities and give an emotionless point of view on the best way to explore them in our day-to-day existences. Untruthfulness. Maybe the clearest trademark that subverts trust is untruthfulness. Whether it's harmless exaggerations or bigger trickeries, exploitative demonstrations dissolve the underpinning of trust. Apathy underlines living as per nature and excellence. Untruthfulness disturbs this congruity. There's something off about Marcus Aurelius, a conspicuous emotionless thinker, once said, in the event that, don't do it. On the off chance that it's false, don't say it. This straightforward core value can be a compass in keeping up with trust. Irregularity. Steady conduct after some time lays out dependability. At the point when one's activities and words are conflicting, it raises questions about their constancy. Epictetus, another apathetic rationalist, recommends that we ought to be reliable in our activities and words. By staying consistent with our responsibilities and exhibiting consistency, we line up with the trustworthy, unemotional ideal. Absence of compassion. Compassion permits us to interface with others on a significant level. An absence of it can cause people to feel misconstrued or underestimated. Apathy helps us to perceive our common humankind. By creating sympathy, we encourage trust, yet additionally develop a comprehension of the interconnectedness, everything being equal. Break of classification, sharing private data, or mysteries shared with us is an immediate attack on trust. Apathy values discretion and limitation. By dominating our motivations, we can guarantee that we watch out for confidences. Regarding the trust given to U.S. egotism, connections are based on shared regard and understanding. Being excessively centered around oneself can prompt dismissing the necessities and sensations of others. While Stoics advance mindfulness, they additionally perceive the significance of social obligations. Seneca expressed, "Any place a human is being, there is a chance for consideration." By putting esteem on the prosperity of others, we assemble more grounded trust. Bonds. Aversion, staying away from troublesome discussions or guarantors, makes an environment of vulnerability. Stoics have confidence in dealing with difficulties directly. Evasion upsets the apathetic guideline of living as per reality. By going up against issues straightforwardly, we exhibited straightforwardness and construct trust control. Involving others for individual addition or pulating circumstances for one's potential benefit can quickly obliterate trust. Aloofness encourages use to act even-handedly and in the assistance of the benefit of everyone. Manipulative activities are contrary to this standard. Broken commitments, guarantees are express certifications of trust. Breaking them without legitimate reasons signals lack of quality. Emotionlessness shows us the significance of our responsibilities. As Marcus Aurelius notes, let what you say be essentially yes or no. Anything over this comes from evil. Absence of responsibility. Not getting a sense of ownership with one's activities and missteps compel trust. Emotionlessness underscores moral obligation. By recognizing our stumbles and making remedial moves, we epitomize the emotionless worth of astuteness and obligation. Failure to excuse. Clutching hard feelings and not excusing minor errors can frustrate trust building. Stoics trust in the flaw of human instinct. Perceiving this, we ought to be ready to pardon and comprehend that, similar to us, others also are on an excursion of self-awareness. Trust is a fragile and important component of any relationship. While various qualities can sabotage it, understanding these characteristics and neutralizing them can assist with cultivating trust. Emotionlessness, with its accentuation on prudence, restraint, and understanding, offers priceless experiences into how we can explore the intricacies of confidence in connections. For watchers trying to develop or re-establish trust, an indifferent methodology can give a grounded philosophical establishment,